I'm gonna show you the only 5 exercises you need to look like you actually work out. Especially if you're someone who needs the workouts to be really simple, fast, and effective. Hey, my name is Farrell. I'm an online fitness coach helping skinny fat men who work sedentary desk jobs and finally progressing to the body that they actually want and that they're confident in. So this video is tailored for those people. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you what the exercises are, what they target, how to do them, and hopefully in the next 2.5 months, you're actually going to be confident enough to take off your shirt at the beach. Just as a disclaimer, I explained one of the exercises in the gym and then everything else is gonna be here at home because I didn't want to bother anybody else. Let's get to it. So the first exercise is the incline Smith machine bench press. Now you can use any different variation of incline bench pressing, like the dumbbell variation or even the barbell variation. But the reason why I chose the machine version is because if you wanted to get in the gym right now, you can go ahead and do that right now without having too much of a learning curve, and you're not missing out on any targeted muscle group. And so with this exercise, you're actually going to hit on 3 different muscle groups. That's called a compound exercise when you hit more than one muscle group. And the 3 muscle groups are your chest, your triceps, and your shoulders. Particular part of your shoulder, it's actually just the front part called the anterior deltoid. And the reason why it targets all 3 is because with your chest, the way to target that muscle is by pushing or doing any pressing movement or by moving your arm horizontally across your body. Number 2, for the triceps, you're actually targeting it by making your elbows straight. So going from a elbow bent position to an elbow straight position, that's how you actually target your tricep. And for the front part of your shoulder, your anterior deltoid, it's also used in pressing movement or pushing movements. And because we're able to load up this machine and be extremely safe, this is probably the best for all 3 muscle groups. So doing this movement, I got 5 tips for you so you can do this really well and target every single muscle group that you need to. The first one is, where do you place your hands? It's different for everybody, but I usually place my pinky on this shaved line that's on the bar. It really does depend on how broad your shoulders are, but for me, it's comfortable to be right outside of my shoulder width, and that's where I would recommend for you to do as well. So number 2, you want to keep your chest up because you want to be able to feel most of your chest and let that tire first instead of something like the front head of your shoulder. If you had your shoulders rolled more forward and your chest was lower, probably target more of your shoulders. And so if you pull your shoulders back and get your chest up, you're going to hit more of your chest, which for our goals right now, it's actually really ideal. Number 3, you want to make sure that the bar lands on the top middle part of your chest. A little lower than your clavicle would be awesome. And the reason why is because if you go too low, you're actually going to start straining your shoulders a lot more and you're going to take away the tension from your chest. If you go too high, you're just going to hit your neck and that's really uncomfortable. So not ideal. Number 4, if you flare your elbows, you're going to feel that your chest is going to stretch out a little better. It's really important so we can utilize every single part of the movement. But if you've had some kind of injury and you're not able to do a flared elbow, I would say tucking your elbows are also completely fine. You're just going to be a little bit limited by the range of motion. Number 5 is keep your feet flat on the ground. If you do this, you'll be able to have more power when you push the bar off of your chest, meaning you might even get 1 or 2 more reps as you're getting through it. If you start squirming, you'll lose power and then there'll be energy leaks and you might not get that last rep, that last 2 reps when you could have gotten it. So keep everything stiff and keep everything flat on the ground. The second exercise is the underhand lat pull downs. These are really great because it targets both your lats, your biceps, and other parts of your back, but primarily I'm looking for those 2 things, your lats and your biceps. Now your lats, they're like these big wing-like structures going all the way down your back, and you activate it by pulling your arms behind you and keeping your elbows close to your body. And for your biceps, you activate it when you bend your elbows like this, especially when your palm is facing you. See how that biceps? I'm sick, so I'm not gonna say. So for this variation of the lat pull down, which is gonna be an underhand version because I wanna target your biceps here, you're gonna wanna face your palms towards you and put your hands at shoulder width apart. Number 2, you're gonna try to keep your chest up as much as possible during the entire movement, just so you can get your arms as far back behind your body as possible. And number 3, you're gonna wanna pull the bar straight down. And I like to aim here for the top middle of my chest. And I wanna have a standard for every single rep that I do. So I'm gonna try to hit that particular part as much as possible. So if you're doing too much weight on this, as you're pulling the bar down towards your chest, you might actually start squirming, rounding your back and your shoulders and all these things to actually just get the weight down, but that's not really productive because we're not actually activating our back as much. So I like for you to keep your chest as high up as possible and try to keep the standard of the rep for as long as possible. The third exercise you're gonna wanna do is the cable lateral raises. And there's so many different variations of this exercise, but I like the cable variation a lot more because it really isolates that part of your deltoids, which is the middle part of your shoulders. Now you can activate that muscle by moving your arm away from you, called abduction. And it's kind of difficult to isolate this muscle because you do get it in some parts with overhead pressing and then some parts in like a row. But this is the one exercise that really isolates that muscle. So this is such an important exercise, especially because this is the muscle that gives your whole shoulders this kind of wider, broader look. And the shoulders are the first thing that people see, with or without a shirt on. If you see my shoulders are popping out, you know that I work out. So here's what you're gonna wanna do for the exercise. You're gonna wanna set the cable to hand height. And the reason for this is because that part of the shoulder works when you move your arm away from you. So you're gonna wanna give it the most resistance when you're doing the same movement. And number two, I like to lean away from the post. It gives you more range of motion so that you can shorten or contract that head of the shoulder more. Number three, when you're doing the movement, you're gonna wanna go to your shoulder height here, moving the cable as if you're throwing a bag somewhere really far away. Bonus tip here, imagine as if you were pouring water into a cup. That helps to tilt your elbows up a little bit so you can feel more of that head of the shoulder. But don't tilt too much because that's gonna put a lot of pressure on your shoulder. So just tilt slightly. The next exercise is a leg exercise. It's the leg press. And the reason why I chose a leg exercise is because obviously we don't want to be just top heavy. We need to work our legs too to give us that X-frame physique so you don't look weird. And I would have chosen the squat here, but if you want to get into the gym tomorrow, there's no learning curve if you just use the leg press. So I'm going to choose what's the best and easiest way for you to get in the gym and just work out and then get out. So this exercise is usually for our quads and our glutes. And to really activate our quads, we need to get as much knee bend as possible. So that means you have to get really deep on this leg press. For the glutes, I'm not really going to talk about it too much here, but if you would like to use the press for your glutes, then I would have my feet a little higher up and get a vertical shin. Make sure that my knees are on a 90-degree angle and not bending all the way. That's how you're going to get the glutes. But it's much more important for me to talk about our quads here. So here's what you're going to do. So number one, you're going to keep that butt stapled to the seat. That's going to make sure that we're going to have a standard for the exercise. Number two, you're going to want to keep your chest up. It's going to help you open up your hips a little bit better so you can get a little more range coming back down. Number three, this is one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen with the leg press. I would open my feet up about 45 degrees. It's just going to help you get more range as you come down because your ankles are going to stop you from coming as low as possible. But if you do want the most quads, I would face my feet forward as much as possible and just go down as deep as you can. Let your knees follow where your toes are facing. So if your toes are facing at a 45-degree angle, you're going to move your knees as well into a 45-degree angle as it's coming down. So you're going to open up your hips. But if your feet are facing forward, just let it go forward as well. Maybe open it up a little bit so you can get more of a bend, but you don't have to do too much. One tip I forgot to mention here and even film is I'd like to get your feet as low as possible on the platform to get your quads, but not too low where your feet are kind of hovering off of the platform. Just get as low as your ankle allows you. So if it's the middle of the platform and you can't go any lower than that because your heels are popping up, then stay at a point where your heels are planted flat on the platform. And lastly, we got the stiff-legged Romanian deadlifts. And that's gonna work opposite of what the quads do. So instead of you actually trying to bend your knee as much as possible, we want to straighten our knee as much as possible. There's really two movements that you can do to activate your hamstrings. This one is called a hinge movement. You could also do hamstring curls and they also work very well. They're just two different ways of moving it. And I would recommend both because there's not really many variations to actually target and load the hamstrings very, very well. But that's not what this video is for. It's about getting you as many gains as possible with the least amount of things to do. Now, you're probably not gonna get this in one try, but we're gonna try it too with these cues. The first one is people start to lower their body first when they do this movement, but what I want you to do is actually just push your butt back as far as possible when you start the movement. And then your torso will just follow you. If you lower your torso up and down first, you're just gonna feel more of your lower back working, which is not a bad thing, but that's not what we're trying to target in this exercise. We're trying to target the hamstrings. So I would push your butt back as far as possible. And a really cool cue, like all my clients get it first try when I say this, aim your butthole to the ceiling. I know it's a little weird, but it works, trust me. Aim your butthole to the back corner of the ceiling so your hips go as far away from the knee as possible, stretching that hamstring muscle as much as possible, which is what we want. Number three, you're gonna keep your chest up. And when you do keep your chest up, your back is gonna start activating so that not all the tension goes to your lower back. And you wanna keep that position so you don't get any injuries over time. Now, obviously you're not gonna get injured with a little bit of weight, but when you do go higher and higher, it's really important to not really feel a lot of pressure on your back. Soreness is good, but we wanna avoid pain as much as possible. Number four, you're gonna wanna keep your dumbbells or barbells as close as possible to your body. And you're also gonna feel your back activating here. That's because if the dumbbells are really far away from you, you're gonna feel it a lot more in your lower back rather than your hamstrings. And we don't wanna do that. We wanna tire out the hamstrings first. And number five, with this exercise, the stiff-legged Romanian deadlifts, I want you to keep your knees as stiff as possible and keep them there. Now, if you can't get them to be extremely straight, you can have a little bend in your knees, but keep that angle for the entirety of the exercise. That's gonna make sure that we're really getting our hamstring. If you want a more personalized approach because you haven't been progressing or something you're doing is not working as well as you thought it would be, and you want a personalized approach to see visible progress in your body, click the first link in the description below to book a call with me. It's free. We'll go over what you've done in the past, what you're doing right now, and what your goals are. And if we're a good fit, we're gonna work together until we reach those goals. But if you're not ready for that step yet, subscribe to me here on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, just so you can get a lot more value and see exactly how I do things and think. See you.